Hi boys and girls, today we are going to read through our science booklet and we're going to read through the amphibian page, which is page 3 in your booklet. It says, frogs, toads, and salamanders are amphibians. Amphibians spend part of their lives in water and part on land. Most amphibians live near moist or wet areas. They often live at the sides of streams, ponds, or lakes, or in swamps. Almost all adult amphibians are carnivores. Now, almost all, not every single one of them, but most of the adults are carnivores. And I bet you know that a carnivore, and I'm going to write it right on top of it, is a carnivore is something that eats animals or meat. Okay, those are the carnivores. Most young frogs and toads are herbivores, and that means they eat plants. All right, a couple things to highlight in this one, if you want to do some highlighting at home. The first sentence, frogs, toads, and salamanders are amphibians. Some of you may have seen some frogs or toads or salamanders. Some of you may have had them as pets at one time. Another thing I want you to highlight is almost all adult amphibians are carnivores. Almost all adult amphibians are carnivores, or they eat other animals. All right, our second paragraph, it says, like mammals, birds, reptiles, and fish, amphibians are vertebrates because they have a backbone and an internal skeleton. Amphibians continue to grow larger throughout their lives. Okay, that's something unique. Now, it says, I want you to highlight vertebrates. Vertebrates are animals and things, and us, that have a backbone, and if you kind of bend over and you put your hand, reach back there, you can feel your backbone running down the middle of your back. And some of you may be even able to see it. If you've ever gone to the doctor, sometimes for physicals, they have you bent over so they can look at your backbone. And an internal skeleton. Internal meaning it's inside and protected by our skin. So, good thing we have an internal skeleton. We look kind of funny with our bones on the outside of us, right? So vertebrates have a backbone and their skeleton is on the inside. Something else to highlight in that one? They grow larger throughout their lives. So that's something that's different. And we don't grow larger throughout our lives, do we? Okay, once we get to probably maybe 18, 19, somewhere in there, in that range, we kind of stop growing. So amphibians continue to grow throughout their lives. So it's probably a good thing maybe they have a shorter lifespan, because otherwise we'd have these huge toads and frogs and things running around. And they don't grow extremely fast. So I always thought that was something kind of interesting, that they continue to grow throughout their lives. We do not. We stop. Otherwise we'd have some pretty tall people running around. All right, let's look at the third paragraph. Frogs and salamanders have skin that is moist. These amphibian skin produce mucus that coat their bodies. The mucus keeps their skin from drying out. Toads have dry and leathery skin. All amphibians absorb oxygen through their skin. Most amphibians use gills to breathe when they live in water and use lungs to breathe when they live on land. All right, so let's highlight that first sentence. Frogs and salamanders have skin that is moist. And if you've ever touched one, you know it's kind of wet, and it's that mucus that's on the outside of it, and that helps protect it from drying out if it's not right next to the water. Also, now toads, they're different. Toads have dry and leathery skin. Mrs. Shreddy always has some toads around her house. I don't know if they kind of jump over from the pond that's near us or what it is, but sometimes at night before I go to bed, I'll look out the window and there'll be like a toad like on the sidewalk, like in the summertime. So, and they're dry and leathery. They're not moist like the frogs and salamanders. All right, let's look at number 4, paragraph 4. Amphibians control their body temperatures by moving to warmer or cooler places, depending on what they need to live. Amphibians are called, and now this is a big word, poikilothermic, or what we call cold-blooded animals, because their internal body temperatures change when the temperatures change with the temperatures of their surroundings. So if it's really cold outside, these amphibians, their body temperature is going to drop down to, and they'll be really cold. If it's really hot outside, their body temperature rises and goes up, and they get too hot. Unlike humans, we have a body temperature that, and we've talked about this before, that remains constant, usually around 97, 98, somewhere in there. And if we go outside and it's 32 degrees, our body temperature is going to remain the same. If we go outside and it's really hot, our body temperature is going to remain the same. The only time it changes is if maybe we're not feeling well or we get sick, and then our body's working to fight off a virus or something, then our temperature may rise. But normally it's around 97, 98, somewhere in there. So different from the amphibians, right? They have to protect themselves if it's too hot or too cold. Their body temperature changes and goes all over the place. All right, in that paragraph, I just want you to highlight that big word for cold-blooded. That's one of those science words for cold-blooded, poikilothermic. We can say cold-blooded, it's easier. All right, in the last paragraph, it says, amphibians prefer cool temperatures, not cold, just cool temperatures. Hot and cold temperatures cause amphibians to become inactive. When it is very cold, amphibians may hibernate in the mud at the bottom of a pond or under a log. So let's go ahead and highlight prefer cool temperatures. I kind of think that's true of any animal, really, especially if you've been to the zoo, and they don't like it if it's too hot or if it's too cold. You go to the zoo, and if it's really hot, they seem to be in the shade or hiding somewhere where you can't see them. So I think they like a little bit of a cool temperature so that they can be active. All right, so that's all I want to go over for today, and I wanted to show you what to highlight. Those would be some of the important things that we'd be looking at if we were having a test. So this is our amphibian page, and I'll come back and do life cycle of an amphibian, and specifically we'll look at a frog. So see you later. Bye, boys and girls.